Hello, welcome to Stitch Alchemy. I am Rebecca and I have started this channel because I want to share with you, the awesome creative community of YouTube, a little bit about my personal creative practice as it pertains to knitting and hand sewing and intentional wardrobe creation. I want to explore those topics here on this channel through a lens of curiosity about sustainability and responsibility and how we are moving into a different relationship with our consumption of textile products, and how we are exploring solving the problem of clothing ourselves and our families in a environmentally and socially responsible way. So if that sounds cool to you, please stick around. I'd love to have you. I've never had a YouTube channel before, so this is very new. Please excuse the very low production quality. I hope to enhance it as I move forward. So a little bit about myself, just so you know who you're listening to and what my background is. My name is Rebecca. I am a wannabe homesteader. I live in the Ozark Mountains in Arkansas in a 384 square foot tiny house with my son and my husband and our dog and our cat and our 12 chickens. They don't live in the tiny house, but we do have 12 chickens. I have been sewing since I was 15. And I learned to knit when I was about 8, but I didn't pick it up as like a regular hobby until about 7 years ago. So the story that I'm coming to you with for myself and for the future of this channel is pretty simple and hopefully really relatable if you are a mom. I had a creative practice with my wardrobe. I liked to express myself with what I was wearing. I loved making my own things. I even had a business where I sold my upcycled garments and vintage stuff that I liked to find at the thrift store. And when I transitioned into being a mom, a lot of that largely fell away. I wore leggings and t-shirts for about 4 years straight, like nothing else. We did move into a tiny house right at the beginning of my mothering journey, and my sewing studio went into boxes and disappeared. And so I really lost a huge part of myself and my identity and my happiness when I wasn't able to sew my own clothes anymore. I did find ways in the past several years to be creative, and part of that had to do with finding ways to be creative that didn't take up a lot of space. So like here I am in my new sewing studio, and it takes up a lot of space. I have my sewing machines, I have my tables, I have all my tools, my projects, and materials and fabrics and everything, and it takes up a lot of space, and that just really wasn't available to me in my tiny house. So I had to find ways to downsize my creative practice, and that is when I turned to knitting in a big way. I wanted to learn how to knit when I was pregnant, and I wanted to make little, cute baby things, which I did, and then I turned back to that when I needed a more compact way to be creative. So in the past few years, I've really gotten into knitting. I love it so much. It's really, I almost love it more than sewing, even though sewing was my first love. Knitting may be my true love. But I do both, and I love both so much. So this channel is definitely going to go into both of those topics quite deeply. And the other thing that I got into was hand sewing. So I could have my knitting project and my hand sewing in a drawer in our closet, and just pull them out when I wanted to sit down and work on it. And it didn't it didn't require like laying out huge bolts of fabric and like cutting out big pattern pieces. I could do small hand sewing projects pretty easily and keep that space requirement really minimal. So that's the way I, kept my passion alive through these years. But luckily for me, my husband has created this sewing space for me in our shed. I know, very glamorous. I am in a shed. It's just a totally normal shed, but the walls are finished. It has electricity and it has floor, and it does have 2 little windows, but it's not very bright. I have to turn on lights to be able to see, but it is a sewing space. I have a big table for cutting out patterns and laying out large pieces of fabric. I have all my tools open and available. I don't have to go hunting and digging for things. So, because I have this beautiful sewing space and because I've been itching to sew for myself for so long, a couple of things are going on in my life. I don't have very many clothes that I like. Most, if not like all of my clothes are just thrifted stuff that's not been updated. A few things have been altered because alterations are somewhat easier than making something completely from scratch, so I've been able to do that here and there. But mostly I wear thrifted sweaters, which is great. I love this sweater. I just really need to update. I need to get back into having a wardrobe that feels like me, that feels unique, and that serves me in my lifestyle now as a mom of a bigger little kid. So I want to take you on that journey because I have some really exciting ideas about how to go from like 0 to like full beautiful wardrobe this year. And primarily, well, I'll get into all of my goals and details about how I want to do that in the next episode. For this episode, I really just want to start with kind of a show and tell a la knitting podcasts where I show you my finished objects and my works in progress and some acquisitions. However, it's not going to just be knitting fibers and knitting projects. It's also going to be my hand sewing and things like that. So that's the way it's going to go when I do show and tells for the duration of this channel. I will be doing all of my kind of creative projects will be shown at that time, so not just knitting. So I hope you're into that because I'm really excited. Yeah, so I think I will kind of jump into that now. That's a little bit about me and my backstory. I want to create you know, like my dream wardrobe. I also want to show you how I make stuff for my son and how I plan for that and all those kinds of things. But for now, we're just going to start with a fun show and tell. So without further ado, I'm going to show you my finished objects and then I'll move on to works in progress. And I have one kind of acquisition sort of thing that I can show you. And then I might do just like a little brief kind of studio tour. It's super messy in here, but I just wanted to point out a couple of things to you so you kind of get the idea of how I'm gonna like proceed. So okay, to start with, my first finished object is this little bandana. Now it is like freshly finished. I haven't woven in the ends. I am an end weaver. I do not leave loose ends. So if that appalls you, me too. It's not looking real good. However, I did really just finish this and I haven't blocked it or anything. So I'll probably show you again when it's blocked. But this is a really, really sweet little pattern. It's a free pattern called Kirchu, I believe. I don't remember the pattern designer's name, but I will put that in the description box below. I really find it annoying when somebody mentions something and doesn't put a link, so I will do my best to always, always, always put links. And so this, I just knitted this in like a bamboo cotton blend that I picked up at Joann's, and it's a gift for my friend's teen daughter, and it's like a little bandana guy. Isn't it so cute? It's really, really drapey. And it's this beautiful like dusty pink color. I can also list the name of the yarn below. I don't know. I picked it up at Joann's. And this was my favorite pattern that I've knitted in a long time. It was so sweet and simple. I knitted 3 or 4 of these, I want to say, for gifts in the past couple of months, and this is the last one. I'll probably do a few more of these in summery yarns like this. for myself for the summer, because they're just so, it's just like such a fun pattern. Like, I just did this little tip part by following the line by line instructions of the pattern, and then the rest of it I didn't need the pattern, because it's just, you memorize it and it's so fun and easy. One of my favorite, like, just simple, fun, quickie patterns that I've done in a really long time. So I'm really happy with how that turned out. I'm going to block it and then I'll show you again, because it's going to look really, really pretty blocked. I did 2 of them made out of just like a worsted or a DK, yeah, it was a DK wool, in a couple of colors for gifts, and they just blocked so beautifully. And I was really happy to give those as gifts. I think the wool is kind of a neat idea for something like this, because you could wear it on a day when it was just a tiny bit chilly, but you didn't want to like have a hat on or something, and it just like a tiny bit of warmth on your head. It's really sweet. Okay, so I love that pattern. Highly recommend. And then the other thing that I have finished recently was a Christmas gift for my son, and they are these little slippers. I made these with the, what's it called, Wayfarer slipper or Wayfarer shoe pattern from Twig and Tail. I love Twig and Tail patterns, and they're just darling little slippers. I typically do his little gifts with applique of things that he's been drawing, and he's been drawing lots of rocket ships and planets and stars. The fabric for this was recycled from a women's wool jacket. I think it was J. Crew. I could be wrong about that. Anyway, it was a wool jacket that I got at a thrift store for just a few dollars, and it's this gorgeous purple. Oh, it's hard to see because of the light. Anyway, really, really pretty purple, and it's boiled wool, so it's nice and thick, and I put a little leather bottom for non-slip. And the inside is also upcycled. It's just some really pretty cotton print. I think it was a dress that I used for the lining. And for the little wool appliques, I used wool felt from a craft store. I either buy them at Dancing Bear Crafts, which is on Etsy, or Weir Crafts, W-E-I-R. I'll put the link in the description box. But those are the 2 places where I buy really beautiful wool felt for these kinds of projects. So I'm really happy with how these turned out. He wears them every morning. He has little cold toes and doesn't notice that his toes are cold, so these are great for around the house. And he was happy with them on Christmas, so I love them. Okay, and to kind of match with that, I have another project. This was his birthday present, and oh, and you know what? That is it for finished objects, because this one is still a work in progress. So moving on to works in progress. This was his birthday present, which was right after Christmas, but it's not finished yet. I tried really, really hard to finish it, but it's not done. I bit off more than I could chew. So this is a little wool vest type waistcoat guy. Just want to make sure that it's in there. Okay, yeah. And so this matches. It has the same coordinating lining fabric, and it's the same outer shell wool that I used from that thrifted jacket. And the binding on the outside is a green linen that it was a linen shirt from a thrift store that I made bias tape out of to put on the little pocket tops and all the way around. And it will be here on the sleeves as well, but like I said, it's not finished. So on the front, I have appliqued, well, before I go on, I'll tell you, this style of like wool waistcoat with the little binding was 1000% inspired by someone else. On Instagram, her name is Carnelian Seeker. I will link her below. She makes some of the absolute most beautiful things out of wool. And anyway, I don't know if she makes them anymore, but she used to make these little waistcoats and sell them. And she would put these just gorgeous and intricate animals and different decorations on the pockets and on the back with wool applique. And so this style I took completely from her. The linen binding on the top of the pocket and all the way around, and everything. I just loved it. I just couldn't believe how absolutely stunningly gorgeous they were. So I did a little mouse. He's nibbling. He's sitting on some moss, and a little mouse house in a mushroom with a little fern. Now these ended up kind of looking a little sparse. Like I said, I was really trying to like finish fast, and so I didn't quite spend as much time, but I think that because I can get down in here from the top, I think I could add more to this and kind of make it a little bit more full visually. And I've made waistcoats or like little vests like this for my son before and had items here and here, and because I can get in from the side, because I haven't done that yet, I could still do that. And so I'm thinking about adding some more here. And now I want to show you the back, because that's really the best part. So the back, here you go. Let's see if we can, oh, it's really hard to see because it's, there you go. The back is a unicorn with a golden horn and golden hooves, and he's really like fierce and prancing, and he's prancing on these like beautiful little wood violets. And I have these like decorative stitches down the side here, because this was cut from a woman's jacket, and so the back piece that I cut this from had like shaping, like it was curved, so I had to cut it and reattach it in a few places to remove the shaping and make it a flat piece. I wish you could see him better. Anyway, there he is. And again, because I can get in here on the side and it's not closed up yet, I think I'm gonna add some more detail up at the top. Maybe there's some more flowers, like some roses, or I was even thinking like a banner across the top with something written on it. Could be really cool, because he was inspired by a painting that I saw on Pinterest when I was looking for inspiration, and I just drew him directly from that painting and then cut out the different pieces. He's made from multiple pieces of white felt. Okay, so yeah, I really am loving this. I love the green and the purple together. It's really soft. My son wore it on his birthday a little bit, even though it's not finished. He really liked it too. I will probably put buttons on it when it's done, if there's enough give for it to be buttoned when it's on him. I make my own patterns, and so sometimes it's a little iffy. Anyway, I'm really happy with how that turned out. So I will show you again when it's really finished. Okay, the other works in progress that I have are knitting projects, and they're pretty, straightforward. I started this sock set on Thanksgiving Day, and I finished this one already. This is just a really basic vanilla sock. I think they're called, the pattern that I'm using is a free pattern. I think it's called Late Night Socks. I forget the pattern designer, but I'll link it. And I'm happy with it. This is the first adult size sock I've ever knitted. I knitted baby socks and I've knitted toddler socks, but I've never knitted a sock for myself. So this is really exciting. It fits very well. It's not blocked, as you can see. And yesterday or the day before, I started the second one, and I got a lot done. Like, it seemed to have gone way faster than the first time I knitted the sock, so I don't know what that's about, but I'm really glad that I'm getting it done, because I was really worried that I was gonna flake on it and only have one sock, but I really need socks, actually. My dad gives me wool socks every year for Christmas, and this year he also gave my stepdaughter the same set, so we both got 4 pairs of socks, but they were all the same colors, like they had the same colors and the same designs. And after she went home after Christmas, I couldn't find any of mine. So I think she has all of my new socks. So I really need to make myself some socks. So I'm excited about getting these done because I've never had the pleasure of owning and wearing hand knitted socks before. So I'm pretty excited. They fit very, very snug. I don't know if this is like quite right. If like maybe I knitted them a little too tight or a little too small, but they're like quite snug. And I guess they're gonna stretch out because excuse me, there's no elastane or anything, but excuse me, I should have brought some water out here. Anyway, I'm hoping to get this done in the next week or so. Oh, and I'm knitting that with Patton's Croy sock yarn. Really pretty. Just basic sock yarn. I have no complaints. It's a nice yarn. It's got a little color changing visual interest there. Seems very durable and woolly. Okay, and then the other thing that I'm working on, sadly, I don't think is working out. I'm not sure. We'll see. I wanted to knit myself a pair of pants. And this yarn is, here, I'll show you the yarn. This yarn is recycled, or I don't know, that word is tricky. See, that's why I want to have this channel and have these conversations. It's not recycled per se. I took this sweater, my dad gave it to me. It was a men's extra large LL Bean cardigan with a zip front. And he gave it to me probably 7 years ago, and at that time I was really interested in reclaiming yarns, so I took the whole thing apart and I unwound it and I wound it into hanks and I tied those all up and I washed it and then I rolled it all up into balls. And I've had it all that time. So it's just been a part of my stash. And it's really beautiful. It looks like a woolen spun, but it's like a worsted weight. And it's like this nice charcoal, sooty color with like lighter grayish flecks. So it's got some depth. It's not just like dark gray or dark black. I really like the color and the texture, and it's nice and woolly and durable feeling. I really like it. Because it was such a big men's sweater, I have a lot of it. And so I wanted to do a nice big project to utilize as much of it as I can. And one thing that's going on in my wardrobe is pants are a problem. They're just a problem. After I had a baby, jeans were just not comfortable anymore. I'm shaped differently. I love jeans, think they're so cute. But they squeeze me, and if I eat while I'm wearing high-waisted jeans or even just high-waisted anything, if I eat while I'm wearing it, I get a stomach ache and it like really hurts. And so I'm really trying to figure out pants for myself that are really comfortable. So I thought knitted pants would be really nice, and they would be woolly and warm. That's the other thing. I don't like having to wear lots of layers, and when it's cold I end up wearing lots of layers, and then I have all this like shifty feeling. And I really would like to have things that are just more warm so that I can wear my warmer layers or my warmer garments and not have to do tons and tons of layers in the colder weather. So I thought wool pants, worsted weight wool pants would be really fun. And so I cast on using the stitch count from a drops pattern, a free drops pattern, and I don't even think I'm going to try anymore with drops patterns. I used to use them as like a jumping off point for some of my projects, but it's just not worth it. They're so difficult to understand. And so I knitted that for a while, and then I pulled it out. And then I started over again and said, let me show you what I have. I have this. So it's almost like a little mini skirt. So this is like a fold over waistband that I was going to sew down later because I don't have the elastic right now. If I had the elastic, I would just put it in and knit it in, but I think that I might just obtain it because I'm pretty sure this is going to come out. I love the fabric that I'm getting. It's nice and thick and beautiful. I love the color and the texture. It looks really good. And I think they're about the right size. However, I haven't tried them on yet. Or it on. It's not a them yet. There's no legs. And here's some markings for my... I did the short rows from the drops pattern for this, but I didn't do the increasing the way the drops pattern suggested. It was really annoying the way they were doing it. It was just like... Anyway, I'm not even going to try to explain. I did not like it. So I started to do it where it was down the center front and down the center back and a little bit on the sides. And I'm doing invisible increases, also known as lifted increases. And they do really look quite invisible. However, I don't know if that's the look I want. I kind of am thinking that I want to do something that ends up looking a little bit like a seam down the front, because that's the way other pants look. But I'm not sure. I'm not sure if I'm gonna pull this out. I'm really on the fence because I'm not confident that I'm like a great pattern designer or anything. And I'm also really worried about what to do when I get to the crotch, because I'd really like to put a crotch gusset in. I've knitted baby pants before. I did cloth diapering with wool baby pants, and so I've knitted crotch gussets for baby pants, but I don't remember how to do that. Maybe I just need to look at a baby pants pattern and kind of fudge it. So I'm just feeling some doubt if this is coming out going well. I'm gonna try them on, I guess, and see. Well, I guess I could do that now. I'm wearing leggings. Okay, let's see what this looks like. Okay, so this is the like fold over waistband that I want to have elastic in it. And it's gonna be like that. So I almost think, I don't know if you can see, I almost think that like, I'm like there. I'm like at the point where I should like figure out the crotch gusset. I can't really see if it looks like it's too stretched out. That's what I was kind of worried that like I didn't increase rapidly enough, because the drops pattern has you do like all of this for the short row increases in the back before you ever increase. So I kind of was worried it was stretching right here, and I can't really see. Maybe I'll look at the video after I'm done. It does kind of feel like it's stretched out. Anyway, so why I'm so torn is because just a couple of days ago, a knitwear designer that I follow on Instagram posted that she was writing a pants pattern, and it looked exactly like what I wanted. They looked so good. It was, I think it's Ocean Knits. Whenever I see it on Instagram, I think it says Oshi Knits, which is really cute, but I don't think that's what it is. I think it's Ocean Knits. And she said she was going to release the pattern really soon. So I'm kind of like, oh, should I just buy a real pattern for this and go with somebody who obviously knows what they're doing, or should I just keep on with my weird experiment here? I don't know. I don't really want to take out all this work. I really like how it's coming along. So, I don't know. If you have an opinion, let me know in the comments. Leave me a comment. I've never had anyone leave me a comment on YouTube before, so please do. It will be fun. Okay. Let's see. Okay, another work in progress. I have too many works in progress. That's the other thing I really need to do, is kind of finish up a few things so that I can feel resolved to move on. Another work in progress that I have is this little slipper. I do not remember the name of the designer or the pattern, but I'm very confident that it's a good pattern, even though this is all I've gotten done so far. But I have it on good authority that her patterns are lovely, and so far so good. This is a nice like boot-shaped slipper with a high top. I just need warm things for in my house, and you know, I wear my socks in the house, and we live in a tiny house, and we have animals, and there's no like mud room where you can like take your boots off, and you know, our floors get filthy, and it's really annoying. I'm looking forward to having more space just so I can keep my house floors cleaner, because my socks get all gross, and then I don't want to like get in the bed with my dirty socks on. So I kind of want to save my socks a little bit and have some slippers to wear in the house. So that's what I'm working on here. I need to just pick up the edges and keep going. I don't remember the name of this yarn. It's really nice. It's heavy and squishy. Really, really soft. I knitted, it's like a bulky weight, but at the time I didn't really understand like the intricacies of picking the right yarn, and I used this to knit a Felix cardigan for myself, and actually it worked out perfect because I wanted that to be like, I wanted to use that cardigan pattern in a way that wasn't quite what the designer had specified. I wanted it to be like bigger and more of like a bulky, like cold weather jacket almost, and that's exactly what it is, and that's exactly what I use it for, and I love it. But I had this one skein left over, so I'm using it to make myself some slippers. So there's that. I don't know when I'm gonna get around to finishing that. I haven't worked on that since the day I cast it on. Okay, and then the last thing is something that maybe I'm hoping someone here on YouTube can help me with, because I'm really, really torn. It's not a work in progress. I would love it to be. It's a planning stages piece, and I really need help. Okay, so here's what has happened. I wanted to knit the Champagne cardigan by Petite Knit, and back in November, Knit Picks had a beautiful sale, and I was like, sweet, I'm gonna get all the things that I need for my Champagne cardigan and a couple other projects that I was gonna do. Excuse me. Excuse me, I'm getting over being sick, and I should have brought water out here because all this talking is making me cough, even though I haven't been coughing in a few days. Okay, so I wanted to knit the Champagne cardigan, and there was a great sale going on at Knit Picks, and so I wanted to pick stuff out. So I knew I needed, I believe it's a DK weight yarn and a mohair stranded together. And a mohair strand held together. That was weird. And so I was looking for that on Knit Picks, and I found their Swish DK. Swish is a merino superwash, and you may know now that I've said that what my problem is. I did not know anything about superwash when I bought this. I've never bought it before. I've never wanted to buy it before. I always hand wash all of our knits. I have no reason to need to buy superwash. And when I first got into using wool and stuff, I was cloth diapering, and you can't use superwash for cloth diapers. It doesn't work. You have to use real wool and lanolize it, and that creates the moisture barrier so that the outside of the pants don't get wet from the wet diaper. Okay, so I never wanted it, never needed it, but I also didn't know any of the stuff about how it is how it stretches out, and how it's not good for bigger garments. I found that out right after I bought this. Interestingly enough, just a couple months after I bought like 3 sweater quantities of superwash merino, I found out all of the drawbacks. It pills a lot, it stretches out, and isn't good for big projects. So, oops. I'm really bummed. The only reason I bought this is because it was the color that I wanted, it was the weight that I needed, it was on sale. And I thought that it would work. So I'm really scared now about using it. Not with this one, but with the same base, a different color, but the same base, Swish from Knit Picks, Swish DK from Knit Picks. I knitted a big swatch and stuck it in the water and pulled it out, and it grew. I don't have my notes in front of me, but it grew a lot, like an inch on like this tiny little swatch. And so I was like devastated. I was like, oh no, what am I gonna do? I know that the champagne cardigan takes a long time. I'm not gonna invest a ton of time into knitting this beautiful cardigan just to have it, you know, stretched out. So I'm trying to figure out what to do. I'm trying to think, okay, should I size down my needles? How do I figure this out? And then I thought, well, you know, I definitely need to knit a swatch, and I paired it with the Aloft mohair, so soft, and knitted my swatch. Now, then I started to think, okay, well, the mohair strand does not stretch at all. So maybe by holding them together, that creates like a nice sturdy net that the stretchy superwash can hang on and not get stretched out. I think this is logical. However, I've tried to look it up, and I just found really preliminary opinion answers of people saying that probably won't work. For whatever reason, that's just their opinion. They don't think that that would be sufficient to prevent it from stretching out. Now, I did get this wet. I put it in water and pulled it out. I was careful though not to stretch it. I was trying to see like, well, if I really baby it, can I keep it together? And it did not stretch. Okay, so little swatch, very light. I was very careful not to let it stretch, and it didn't stretch out. This is the same gauge that it had going in. So, and it feels like a great fabric. It feels good. Anyway, I would love to knit my champagne cardigan out of this. I love the way it feels, and but I don't want to put in a bunch of time just to have it get ruined. So if you have knitted with a combo like this of a superwash with mohair, and you could tell me whether or not it'll stretch or not, that would be great. Also, I watched a knitting podcast a while back, and I do not remember who it was. It was on a different computer. I wasn't subscribed to her channel, but she was talking about knitting is it the half zip or the quarter zip? Anyway, the zip pullover that looks a lot like this, by Petite Knit. She knitted that for herself in a superwash and mohair held together. Now, if I had had my wits about me, I would have asked her right then, but I don't know why. And then I don't know who that was. So if you know who knitted that and you could tell me in the comments below, that would be really amazing. Because I would like to talk to her about if that has stretched out when she washed it or after she was wearing it, to see if I could get away with doing the same thing. So please help me decide, because I can't cast on until I have more confidence. I'm just feeling so much doubt about this that I just can't, I can't seem to get myself going here. I don't know if I need to just completely ditch the idea of the superwash and go a different direction, or what, but I really need some guidance. So please help me, oh YouTube internet. I would be so grateful. Okay, so that's it for all of my projects right now. I have one other thing in here that's just a swatch, but I'm not going to show you that. So as far as acquisitions go, the only thing that I can show you is kind of sad. It's kind of sad, so kind of a sad story. So as I told you earlier, I really like to recycle and use things that are available to me that are not only is that sustainably minded because of the impact on the market and you know, sourcing materials like that, but it's also cheaper. I have started, you know, when I started knitting, I still have an extremely limited budget when it comes to what I can buy for my projects. So the best way for me to get good quality yarn, which is like wool content yarn, hopefully 100% wool, but at least some wool content yarn, is to reclaim yarn from sweaters. And I do that a lot. I've done it a lot. I have knitted my child multiple sweaters from reclaimed yarns. I have taken lots of sweaters apart and have them all stashed away. It's really fun and satisfying to like say, oh, this ugly sweater that like nobody would, or maybe not nobody, but that I don't want to wear, or is like, you know, an adult size, and I want to knit something for my child, and to take that apart and use it is really exciting. So I found this sweater recently at Goodwill, and it's a really pretty color. That's pretty much getting the color, I feel like. It's this nice rusty color, and oh god. Okay, so this is the problem. It stinks. I don't know how I did not notice this in the Goodwill. I think it's just because everything stinks in Goodwill. I got this sweater. It was by no means like the most amazing yarn ever. This was a, God, I have to put that down. That smells so bad. That was a, what am I trying to say? Banana Republic? Is that the name of that store? Anyway, it was it was some like mid-tier fast fashion kind of brand like that, and it was like 20% wool and then some other stuff. It wasn't synthetic like per se, but it was like those cellulose type extruded fibers where it's like natural / man-made. It's not plastic, but it's still extruded. It's still an industrially produced fiber. I don't remember what it was. And I think there was some like something soft in it, like a little tiny bit, like 10% like cashmere or like angora or something soft. So not the like world's best yarn, but it was soft and a really pretty color. So I thought it would be fun to take it apart and use it for something. It did look a little tiny bit felted, which can always be a no-go with reclaiming yarn from sweaters. If it's too felted, when you're trying to unwind it, it breaks. But this didn't do that. I got it apart just fine. But while I was taking it apart, I finally realized that it has an extremely strong smell of like like chemical fragrance, like you would find in really strongly scented detergent or dryer sheets or fabric softener is what I think it smells like. It's so strong. Like, yeah, I can smell it like right here, like strong. So while I was taking it apart, I started to get worried. I was like, oh no, because I'm really sensitive to chemical fragrance. I don't like it, and I've had a really hard time removing it from thrifted clothing before. But I went ahead and finished taking it apart. I guess maybe I shouldn't have, because it was wasted effort. But I kept thinking, like, it's okay. I'm going to wash it and wash it and wash it. I'm going to soak it. Excuse me. I'm going to soak it in baking soda solution or vinegar solution, and I'm going to get the fragrance out. Like, that's what I was telling myself. So I finished taking it apart. So now I have like this whole, it's in a bowl. So I took it all apart and I wound it onto these little hanks. And then I tie it in several places. And this is how I keep it together for while I'm washing it. It works beautifully. It doesn't get tangled. I've done it a million times. And then I soaked it. I did all the things. I soaked it in baking soda solution. I soaked it in vinegar solution. I washed it and washed it and washed it. I washed it with something stronger than I would have normally washed wool yarn with, some dish soap. I used hotter water than I would have normally done. I agitated it a lot more than I would have normally done. I didn't only do this. It was like while I was doing my other things, taking care of my child and cleaning and cooking and being, in my home. But I spent the whole day doing this. So I used a lot of water, wasted a lot of time and energy, and all that happened was that my bathroom just reeked of this chemical fragrance. So it still stinks. I didn't make a dent in the smell. It also bled a lot. Every single time I would wash it, which I think I did it 6 times, like that much water in the bathtub, it would turn the bathtub water orange pink. So not much of an acquisition, just a lot of wasted work. So that is a risk that you run when you do these kinds of experimental processes. I honestly don't know what to do with it. I feel bad just throwing it away. But I can't use it. I cannot. I would never be able to stand the smell, and I also know that those kinds of chemical fragrances are not good for us to breathe and have on our skin. So it's been enough for me that I touched it so much and put my hands in that water so much. That was definitely enough exposure. I'm gonna have to get rid of it. If you have some kind of genius idea about how to get the fragrance out that I haven't tried, again, I tried strong dish soap, I tried hotter water, I tried baking soda, and I tried vinegar separately. If you have another idea about how I could try to get the fragrance out, please let me know. If there's a product that you're aware of that gets chemical fragrance out of things, I need to know, because I've searched and I haven't found anything. So sad non-acquisition, but maybe my sad story will be a lesson to you that when you are shopping for things that you're going to use to make clothes out of at the thrift store, whether you're recycling a sweater or if you're looking for something that you're going to cut and sew later, do a sniff check. Because if it smells really strongly of chemical fragrance and that's not your jam, you're not going to get it out. I've just had so much trouble with that. It just doesn't come out. So lesson learned. I will be sniffing carefully anything that I get at the thrift store from now on. That's the first time that's happened with wool. See, I think it's weird because with wool, you would normally either hand wash it or dry clean it, which isn't going to give you that strong smell. So somehow this sweater was being washed with fabric softener, and so I think that might have been why it had that felted appearance and ultimately wound up at the thrift store, because people often don't know that if it has a wool content in it that you're not supposed to wash it in the washing machine. So, all right, well, that kind of wraps up everything for today. I have showed you all of my finished objects and my works in progress and that sad story and lesson learned. Oh, and I was going to do a little brief studio tour. So, let's see if we can move you. Okay, so back over there, my sewing machines. I sew on a vintage industrial Singer, and let's see, which way does my finger need to go? And a Brother 1034D serger. And let's see, here are some wool jackets. There they are. Here are some wool jackets that I have for upcycling. They're like men's size, like blazers, if you will. And then everything up here, those are all fabrics and garments. Well, the bottom row is fabric. So those are all fabrics that were either purchased new or thrifted or were given to me. A lot of people give me stuff once they know the kind of like upcycling and things that I do. It's amazing. And then the top row is all clothes. So from there to there is all clothes that I thrifted that I have plans to like fix up. Like I still don't have like a great word for this. If you know like the best word for it. Some people call it upcycling, some people call it thrift flipping. I've always just called it alterations. I'm going to take those things and I'm going to make them fit me better. Whether that's changing the size of it altogether or just tapering the leg of some pants more or whatever. That's what those are for. I bought them, but they're not quite right. So that's a lot of garments. That's going to be really exciting to add those things to my wardrobe once I get around to it. I'll probably do like batches of things as I go along. So like, I don't know, tell me how you'd like it organized. Like, would you like to see me work on like pants alterations or what? How should I organize it? And then over here, let's see. Forgive my like absolutely deplorable understanding of how to use a camera phone for making videos. Over here I have more of that kind of stuff, only these things are clothing from the thrift store that I'm going to completely make into new items. So I'm not going to just do alterations on them. I'm going to use them for their fabric and completely cut out with a pattern a new thing and sew it into something else. And then down here on the bottom row, I have things that need to be mended. So mending and some other like strange, different, kind of unique projects, but lots of mending that I need to do. So just to add those things back into my wardrobe that have been out because they are damaged. Okay, so that's just a little quick thing of, you know, what I've got and what I'll be working on in the next few months as I start to get things going here on the channel and in my own wardrobe journey. So next time I'm going to be jumping in more into like how I'm gonna plan this all, because I really want to be, like I said, intentional about it. And I don't want to just kind of haphazardly start doing things because it doesn't lead to a good place. I've spent so many sewing hours wasted because I didn't plan ahead. I didn't know if the garment that I was making was a style that looked good on me or fit me well or suited my lifestyle and tastes. I didn't know if the colors worked well with me or worked well with my other clothing. So I really want to be more intentional so that the work that I'm putting in actually pays off and I end up with a wardrobe that I love and that all works together and that I don't waste all of my precious sewing hours and my precious materials, because I'm going through a lot of, you know, all of our sewing materials are precious, whether you're paying a lot of money for them or you are spending a lot of time and effort to recycle and reclaim things. All of that makes those things precious, and we don't want to be wasting them. We don't want to end up with a bunch of sewn things that were, yeah, fun to make, but that we don't wear. Or at least I don't want that. I've been through that process and I don't want to do it anymore. So next episode, I'm going to talk to you a lot more about how I'm going to plan and the ways and the tools that I'm going to use to assess before I jump into making things. And I'm also going to give you a peek into my wardrobe values and how I use that set of values to assess what I make, and that's another element in that same process of planning. And so, yeah, join me next week. Subscribe and click the bell if you'd like to see that video. It's going to be coming really soon. I'm going to get into all my plans and my goals for the year and share with you those values so that you can get a sneak peek into how you can use those same kinds of processes to make things that are more aligned for you, and have less of that kind of disappointment, wasted effort and time feeling that we've all experienced as makers when we make something that just does not end up working out for us. So thank you so much for watching. I'm really excited to start this journey. And oh, one last thing. I have several accounts that I really love and have been really inspired by, but not enough. And so I would really love to hear who I should be following in the makerspace on YouTube. Who should I subscribe to? Who's your favorite maker who's doing intentional wardrobe building, who is doing awesome knitting? I particularly love rustic knits and practical knits and reclaimed knits. So if you know anybody that I should be following, who's your favorite YouTube maker, upcycler, intentional wardrobe creation person, please let me know in the comments below. I'd be really excited to check them all out, and I can't wait. Okay, well, I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.